Thank you for coming to my presentation today, everyone. We are going to be talking about creating change in our fundraising and development team. The objective of this talk is to talk about the problem, share solutions, implement ideas to create change in our organization, and to build a deeper relationship with one another. So let's get started. All right, so the basis of this conversation is we're going to first talk about our impact, the teamwork, steps to success, sustainable leading, implementing success, and how we're going to create a lasting impact. All right, so I wanted to start today off with our impact. It's because as a newly established organization, One Vine Foundation has not yet established a well-defined fundraising and development process. As I mentioned before, the objectives of this change case study is to determine how to approach challenging conversations that may arise with specific donor types. I believe this is where change is needed to drive the organization's growth to create the biggest impact. So I wanted to really hone in on this direct quote from a Ruth recipient that we had helped. I had a lot of difficulty paying for my attorney fees for me and my son's asylum case. I had to choose between food, rent, and paying the firm. I was working constantly, barely saw my two sons, and lived in constant stress. I was always crying, exhausted, and had no time to rest. I desperately needed help. Everything changed when I received help. It made me stronger in my faith and love for God, whom I have always believed in and trusted. I know He holds me in His hands. He also placed angels in my life who saved me from a truly difficult situation. Without their help, I don't know what would have happened to me or my children. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I can't imagine the pain and the suffering that she went through. So, hearing that is enough for my why to be moved in a direction that wants to help even more. And so I would love to hear your guys' why and s- hear how this story has impacted you guys. All right, so. Teamwork makes the dream work. There are two key theories that discuss why making and sustaining change is important to any organization. The first is Dan and Chip Heath, who wrote a book called Switch that informs readers how to best prepare for change. In chapter one, they go over three surprises that can come with change. Heath says, what looks like a people problem is often a situation problem. This is a similar issue that is seen in fundraising because it can be easy to quote unquote shift blame on individuals, especially if fundraising goals are not met. For example, it could be that it just might not be the right time, the relationship was not cultivated enough, or the fundraiser was not prepared. And that happens in every organization. So it is important for me to know when to step out of a situation, analyze it objectively, then re-enter with a fresh perspective to guide you guys in becoming aware how to approach each individual conversation with a unique aspect. Number two is what looks like laziness is often exhaustion. Fundraising is a long race and at some points can exhaust a person, which is why it is crucial that I'm attuning to your guys' emotional capacity and making sure that I'm supporting them in how you guys need. Heath says what looks like resistance is often a lack of clarity. This is a similar issue as it relates to a lack of transparency from the organization. Donors will resist to give if they sense that the organization is hiding something, which is why I firmly believe that transparency is essential. This is a key factor in building rapport with donors and will play a crucial role in determining the organization's future trajectory. Another key theorist, John Cotter, talks about in his book, Leading Change, 8 errors that organizations make when change happens. Out of the 8, I would say the most similar issues I see when it comes to fundraising is underestimating the power of vision. Donors know when a fundraiser does not believe in the mission. Therefore, it is important for me to have you guys participate in team building activities to keep the momentum going. Another error I see is permitting obstacles to block the new vision. This issue arises in organizations when judgments become clouded, making it difficult to go into a fundraising conversation confidently. As a leader, I can prevent this by attuning to your guys' emotion, recognizing when you guys feel burnt out, and just sitting in the well with you guys. And so, in these two charts are 4 steps of how to develop a relationship with the donor. And because that is important, I wanted to apply to the internal change and the team. So, step one, identify. My job is to identify your guys' talent and contributions to the individuals of the team. We each have a God-given talent, and it is important as a leader to utilize that to the best of the ability to create the most efficient output. Number two, cultivate the relationship. I am such a personal person and so cultivating that relationship is really important, and I understand that fundraising can be taxing, so it is important for me to pay attention to your guys' emotional capacity and help you um, carry any heavy burden. Number three, solicit. Know and understand each person's why they believe in the vision. Kind of going back to the point of how donors can know when the developer doesn't believe in the mission. So that's why it is important for us to kind of have a system in place to practice that out. And we're going to talk about that later. Step four is steward. Recognize and thank you guys for all your hard work through intangible and tangible rewards. Recognition is super important to me, and I'm going to touch base on that later. In terms of when it comes to fundraising, step one is identifying who we should be seeking support from and the appropriate amount to ask. That looks like doing our due diligence and our research. Number two is cultivating and making sure that you guys are matching the organization's interests with the donor's priorities, knowing their emotional capacity to give and also what they're passionate about and see how it aligns with One Vine. Number three is solicit, asking donors to make a gift. I understand that is the scariest thing, and trust me, from my experience, it is still so scary. And so, the way I believe a natural conversation will flow out is to listen, engage, and ask follow-up questions and be genuinely curious about what they believe in and what they're passionate about, and everything else will just naturally flow. Number four is steward. Recognize and thank donors and continue that engagement through sharing impact reports and remembering special dates and just checking in on them. I think is going to help the conversation and the relationship build very nicely. All right, steps to success. There are 3 inhibitors of change that can delay our progress, which is why we are going to go over 3 major steps to overcome these inhibitors. The first inhibitor is the lack of passion and confidence. To overcome this inhibitor of change is to have a once a month team role playing exercise with you guys to gain a deeper understanding of their why. As you can see, this is an example of a role playing. I will be completely honest, when I first did role playing, it was kind of uncomfortable, and I completely understand, but I promise you, these are scenarios that you probably will face, so it will help you guys gain the confidence to answer these questions with confidence. The second inhibitor of change is that it just might not be the right time. This is beyond anyone's control, which is why it is crucial to have a financial plan in place for both the present and the future, and that reflects how the funds are being used toward the impact that has made and will continue to be made. This provides reassurance to the donors, showcasing a strong track record that builds their confidence in our preparedness when it is the right time to give. This can all be discussed within our monthly meetings to cover our solicitation calendar along with impacts reports made as a baseline to follow to make sure we are controlling what we can control. And at the end of the day, it really is in God's timing. And just because it's a no now doesn't mean it's going to be a no later. And we just have to remember who this is for, and God's going to take care of the rest. Number three is the lack of transparency. The way that we're going to combat this is through 3 ways. First is knowing the questions. And this is why I added a question, a general frequently asked questions to our fundraising presentation, and we're going to be role playing, and you guys are going to come up with ways to answer it in your own language, your own tone, because that's what makes it uniquely yours. And two, this is going to be more on the senior management side, but we are going to have financial statements that are prepared and shared with you guys. And we're also going to be keeping accountable for by the board of directors. So, next slide. Sustainable leading. Together, we lead these women with resilience, stand up for her with unwavering purpose, trust the Lord fully, and walk alongside these women with humility. One Vine Foundation's unique value proposition is that we exclusively focus on modern day roots. The second part of creating urgency is having a need ready. And this is sustainable because we make a 3-year commitment. And how we do that is we partner with, for example, My Safe Harbor. We made a 3-year commitment. And from there, so that is going to be the BOAS grant. From there, we give Ruth gifts and a Ruth award. And because we have the vetted partnership, it displays um, our desire for community and how important it is and how much we advocate for that. And so, all in all, that is how we are going to sustainably lead because there will always be a need and always be a nonprofit that will have for at least 3 years. All right. And so, a way that I will be sharing, implementing these ideas to you guys is that I put together a fundraising presentation, like I said before, and it is important to know that each donor has a different personality, and it is important to cater to each one with one presentation. And that can be really hard. So I wanted to kind of share an overarching view of what that presentation looks like. Each person has a rider and an elephant in mind. Heath brothers talk about how the rider is a thinker and a planner and can plot a course for a better future. The elephant is led more on emotional appeal. When you present an impact report, it might have information that makes the rider question the sustainability. Therefore, I added this fundraising presentation, common frequently asked questions. And the Heath brothers state if you're contemplating a change, the elephant is the one who gets things done. To make progress toward a goal, whether it's noble or crass, requires energy and drive of the elephant. So overall, both knowing knowing the answers to the frequently asked questions confidently, as well as your passion and your drive in the way you share about One Vine will make all the difference in the world. All right. So to help you guys out, I have created a downhill slope. And that really just means that I've created an easy way for you guys to navigate this. So a way that I can enhance this environment by going above and beyond is making this very personal and getting to know you guys like the back of my hand and utilizing your talents the best way that I can. Number two, building strong habits. To improve fundraising and development initiatives, one way that I can build habits is by providing correct and efficient resources, proper training, and easy access to the material. So when you guys do present, you guys are fully ready. Rally the herd. Bringing the team together by completing monthly check-ins, team building activities, and collaborating how to keep the momentum going with fundraising. And kind of going back to the intangible and tangible rewards, I like to lastly empower generating short-term wins. I believe in the power of recognition. Cotter discusses 6 benefits of celebrating short-term win. After a lot of hard work, positive feedback builds morale and motivation. If I can celebrate both big and little milestones that you guys accomplish, I believe that it will sustain positivity and motivation long term. For example, I would celebrate short-term wins at by having tangible recognition, such as giving extra time off, or um, there's always going to be opportunities to grow in the organization and an increase in salary. In one of the town halls, Dr. John Townsend discusses how creativity requires taking breaks and being intentional with them. And as your guys' leader, I want to make sure that these breaks are implemented, as fundraising requires thinking outside the box a lot and can be emotionally taxing. So I want to make sure that you guys are taken care of. If you guys have any questions, you guys feel free to email me. My door is always open, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.